I'm Shannon Martin. Tonight, a Toronto child is left with life-altering injuries after a dog attack at a downtown playground.
A woman had her dog off leash in a fenced-in playground area.
Tonight, police say there is concern for public safety. We'll have the latest. Plus,
we knew there were rumors, but none of us thought that everybody would have to leave.
their retirement home is being sold to a developer. Now nearly 200 seniors in Mississauga are scrambling to find somewhere else to live.
We actually didn't know, being a Punjabi artist, it'd be possible to perform in a country like Canada in front of all these people.
It's the big night. The 2024 Juno Awards will have the winners, knockout performances, and some backstage fun straight ahead.
This is CBC Late Night News.
Thanks for joining us. Police are searching for a woman and a dog tonight after a child suffered life-altering injuries after being attacked by the dog at a downtown Toronto playground. Officers say the woman had her dog off leash inside a fenced area when the attack happened.
And a father and his child approached the playground area, probably just to enjoy the day, when the dog, for whatever reason, charged at the child, bit the child and dragged the child to the ground.
According to police, the woman and the child's father tried to get the dog to release the child, and after a few likely terrifying minutes, it did. Police are releasing images. The woman is believed to be between 30 to 40 years old, roughly 5'9" to 5'11". She has a large build with dark hair. The dog is black, tan, and white, and was wearing a hooded jacket with a chain collar. Officers say tonight there is concern for public safety. If you see them, call police. Earlier this month, a motion was passed at Toronto City Council to create a dangerous dog registry. Councillor Paula Fletcher first put that motion forward, and we spoke with her today following this latest dog attack.
I really felt so strongly about dogs mauling people, and that there isn't a strong enough penalty, there's not a strong enough reaction, that we need to follow up on the dogs that are very dangerous. It's one thing to have your little dog nip somebody's ankle. This is a mauling. It is a situation that is life-altering for this child, for anybody who's witnessed it. And how somebody can allow their dog to do that and then run away, I think everybody's simply shocked. This is not a responsible dog owner. This is a very dangerous dog. It's not a normal circumstance. And my motion and my desire is to see dogs of this nature dealt with in a very strong way. It's not fluffy down the street here. It's a very dangerous animal.
Fletcher says 450 dogs in the city have a dangerous dog order, and after yesterday's attack, 16 have been involved in a mauling. She says Torontonians can expect that registry on the city's website shortly. Some residents in Westboro say they are in shock after an Ottawa police officer shot a 25-year-old woman on their street. The Special Investigations Unit is now on the case. It says on Friday, an officer was trying to conduct a traffic stop when a woman got out of her vehicle and took off. A witness tells CBC they saw a woman running down the street with what appeared to be a gun, something the SIU later confirmed to CBC. Another resident says her front door was hit by a stray bullet. Her husband was in the basement when he heard the gunshots.
He just heard a commotion outside and some pop, pop, pop. He's just very startled. He texted me saying that there were gunshots and that our front window was broken.
The 25-year-old woman remains in hospital in critical condition. Fire crews in Timmins battled a massive fire for over 24 hours. It sparked yesterday at an apartment complex.
We didn't take anything from the building. We just evacuated from there, and after that, the fire didn't stop.
Timmins Fire responded to the complex on Spruce Street just before 1 p.m. Saturday. They fought the fire now for over 24 hours. Roughly 100 people live in the building, according to fire officials. Thankfully, everyone got out safely. Residents were taken to a local motel in the meantime. Some seniors and their families say it came as a terrible shock. Their retirement home in Mississauga is being sold. Now they're facing the harsh reality of trying to find somewhere else to live that is affordable and one that offers the care they need. Sarah McMillan brings us this story.
When Barbara Tarrant moved into her one-bedroom apartment last summer, she thought that would be her last move.
I got my apartment painted, I bought new furniture, and I loved it from the minute I went in.
But now she and close to 200 other seniors are scrambling to find a new place to live. This past Tuesday, they got notice that Chartwell is closing this Mississauga retirement home, and residents have to be out by the end of July.
It was a total shock.
In a statement, Chartwell says aging infrastructure has made continued operations as a retirement home unsustainable. The company is offering residents moving assistance and compensation of 3 months' rent. But family members here say that's not nearly enough.
We're looking at double to triple the cost for rent. And that's outrageous. She's living on what the government gives her, and that's all she has. And to have her live with us is not feasible. She has mobility issues, and we just can't afford. She needs the needs of a home like this.
Gordon Cork says this home has allowed his father to stay out of the hospital or long-term care for the last 11 years.
He's so close to the end of life. To take away all that community now, it's like, I don't want to dramatize it, but sure, it's a death sentence. It really is.
The Retirement Homes Regulatory Authority says Chartwell has given appropriate notice and a transition plan as required by the Retirement Homes Act. But with many retirement homes providing more and more complex care, this seniors advocate says it's a problem that tenancies can be ended so easily.
So the idea that retirement homes are not part of our healthcare system in many ways is a fiction that we have with an outdated piece of legislation. And we need to be thinking to ourselves, does that legislation need to be updated?
For residents like Barbara Tarrant who hope to age in place, this unexpected prospect of another big move is daunting.
I was very strong moving in here. I made this decision myself, and my family agreed with it, but I didn't. And now I don't have as much courage to do what I need to do. So it's taken that.
She worries she'll now have to choose between staying in her community or finding a residence outside of the city with the supports she'll need in the years ahead. Sarah McMillan, CBC News, Mississauga.
It's budget day on Tuesday for the Ford government. CBC News has learned that auto insurance reforms will be a key part. Multiple sources with knowledge of the government's plans say the budget will give vehicle owners more leeway to pick and choose their insurance coverage. The province previously tried to tackle rates in its first budget in 2019. Despite a brief drop during the pandemic when there were fewer drivers on the road, the average premium has risen sharply ever since, and it's not just an Ontario-specific issue.
This is an auto insurance issue around the world, right? If you look at the United States, they're having the same problem. The latest I've seen from CPI numbers there are that auto insurance rates are up 26% year over year. But combine this with the fact that we are now seeing one of the biggest spikes in car theft we have seen in decades. This, unfortunately, is a major loss event for insurers, right? If your car is stolen, they have to replace the entire vehicle. And so this has driven up the cost as well.
A spokesperson for the finance minister said the government is always looking at ways to make sure auto insurance works best for consumers, but declined to say what's coming in Tuesday's budget. Our senior reporter at Queen's Park, Mike Crawley, will have more details on this exclusive story tomorrow on our website and CBC Radio. Tomorrow, some 400 workers with the Art Gallery of Ontario are expected to vote on a final contract offer. Their union says it comes after 10 months at the bargaining table.
We feel that as a workforce, we've been neglected for a really long time, especially with the erosion of full-time jobs at the gallery.
The union represents art installers, educators, maintenance and retail workers, along with hospitality staff. Among the sticking points, better wages and prioritizing employees for work at the museum before bringing on contract workers. The union tells CBC News none of their demands were met in the latest offer this weekend.
If we are supposed to be a leading competitor in the arts and culture industry, you have to actually treat your workers with the respect and the ability to grow and flourish.
The AGO did not respond to our request for comment today. The union says workers will vote Monday night whether to head to the picket line on Tuesday.
All right, you guys, you ready? Make it happen. 3, 2, 1, get in.
Toronto police and other GTA first responders taking a dip in freezing water today, all part of this year's Polar Plunge, which supports programming and events for 23,000 athletes across the province and Special Olympics Ontario. Now, a special guest was also taking in all the fun, Raptors ambassador Jamal Magloire. The cold plunge queen herself, Sophia, joining us now. You know, at least we had some sunshine today. That helped.
Yeah, Shannon, you know what? It was not a bad day to get out there and do some really cool things, being the operative word. But what a weekend we had. We saw kids out there tobogganing in their snow pants yesterday morning. And then by this afternoon, today, out in the park, blowing bubbles and riding bikes. It's a classic Canadian spring. Glorious sunshine, though, throughout your day today. That might be a thing of the past for the short range. Into the overnight, we are feeling like the minus double digits, really across the board. And then by the time we get into Monday afternoon, we are at the seasonal mark. But watch this trend. It will be an incoming thing throughout this week. The borderline between cold Arctic air and warmer southerly flow will continue to grow this upcoming work week. And a Colorado low will ride this ridge of warmth. It's going to mean snow for anybody in parts of northwestern Ontario for the first half of this upcoming work week, to the tune of 30 centimeters, anywhere from Thunder Bay to Atikokan over to Geraldton, and anybody Nickel Belt and south will really have waves and rounds of rain this upcoming work week. It'll do a number to bringing up our temperatures to a nice warm up, maybe even a taste of some thunderstorms for some of you. We'll talk in the long range, though, about how warm it's going to get in this upcoming work week, and a little surprise in the night skies coming up throughout the overnight period. I'll tell you all about that.
Ooh, thanks, Sophia.
Everybody look at me. I walk in the door, you start screaming.
That's Nelly Furtado kicking off the 2024 Juno Awards in Halifax with a mashup of her biggest hits. Plus, she was playing host at the talent-packed show. Taking it all in for us is our Eli Glasner, starting with a very tough question. What were some of your favorite moments of the evening?
Well, you were just playing one of them. Man eater, da da da. I mean, I actually went down the road to the Scotiabank Center behind me because I had heard from Nelly herself that she was opening the show with this kind of Vegas-style review, all the hits in like 5-7 minutes. So I wanted to feel that for myself. I'm standing there, Shannon. The crowd is there, they're counting it down, and then she appears in all her silvery glory and starts singing. She did Man Eater, she did I'm Like a Bird, and more, and the crowd roared. You could tell that Nelly was having a good time, and you know what's amazing about Nelly Furtado? This is a reemergence. This is like, it's a bird we haven't seen in a while, thanks to Drake and some others who said, you know what, your fans miss you. And even when I tried to ask her about what it feels like to be in the spotlight again, listen to how she was just talking about the party that she's having and all the friends she's met here in Halifax. Take a look.
It's really, really surreal and fun. Like, I'm so happy I was chosen to like lead the evening, and there's just like a lot of fun with our, peers. Everybody's like friends. Like, I'm excited to see the beaches. I've been hanging with the maestro. He's gonna get a big award. It's Anne Murray. Oh, too many surprises.
And yes, Anne Murray, Canadian icon, a songbird of a different kind. She showed up, amazing stuff. And what I love is you have Anne Murray on stage talking about how she remembers the first Junos, which she said was more of a party than really just like an award ceremony. And then she gave out the award to Group of the Year, which was the amazing Toronto band The Beaches, beating out Nickelback, not too shabby. And I don't know, Shannon, something about seeing The Beaches on stage next to Anne Murray, just a beautiful thing. A lot of powerful women in one place.
Absolutely, and I love the big grand finale of the show, seeing The Beaches on stage. Such an awesome moment. You know, this year's talent is incredibly diverse, Eli. What are you hearing from the artists?
I mean, every year it feels like the music industry and even the Canadian music industry is getting more and more global. And I feel like now the sound is becoming as diverse as the country itself. A great example of that during the show was Karan Anjula. He's an amazing Punjabi artist. His sound is somewhere between pop and hip hop. And he was rocking it out with these amazing dancers in the Scotiabank Centre. And then you look at the Indigenous representation at this show. I was speaking with Jeremy Dutcher about this, and he's been at other Junos, this amazing award-winning songwriter, Polaris Prize winner, talking about Junos past and present and the progress that he, an Indigenous artist, has noticed. Take a listen.
Let's talk about the numbers.
Yeah.
When I was in London in 2019, 6 nominees.
Right.
We got 33 this year.
33.
In many categories, not just the Indigenous categories. Hello, right? So it's like, that's the shift, that's the transformation.
Right.
And it's like, it's something to celebrate. And tonight we're here to celebrate it.
I mean, amazing. And another great example of that, Esanabi, he won, and he's an Indigenous artist, I believe, from North Ontario, and he won for Alternative Album of the Year. And so this is what we're seeing, where they're not just being kept in those categories. We're seeing Indigenous talent exploding all over the Junos catalog, which is an amazing thing to see, and turned out to be an amazing show. So there you go.
An amazing show, a marathon weekend for you, Eli. Thanks so much for bringing all the highlights for us. Head off to the big parties now. I imagine you're on your way.
All right. Good idea.
Thanks, Eli. Health officials are on high alert due to the recent rise in measles cases. Tens of thousands of cases are being reported in Europe, and nearly 100 have sprung up in Canada and the U.S. Public health officials are asking people to make sure their measles vaccines are up to date. Experts suggest speaking to a family doctor or nurse practitioner if you're looking to get the shot.
Really is the population of people under the age of 1 who are not yet eligible for a vaccine, and anyone who, for whatever reason, did not receive vaccination or perhaps received only 1 dose of a vaccine instead of 2 doses of a vaccine, or people who might have been vaccinated but have an underlying immunocompromising condition where perhaps the vaccine effectiveness won't be as strong. So those are people that we would be concerned about.
After 6 long years, Canada's women's curlers are once again the best in the world.
And that's it. Canada, the Holman Empire, will rule the world. Canada is your Canadian women's curling champion.
Playing in front of a very friendly crowd there in Sydney, Nova Scotia, Ottawa's very own Rachel Homan and her rink defeated Switzerland 7-5 today. With that, Canada wins its first World Women's Curling Championship since 2018. This is Homan's second world title. She took gold at the championships in Beijing in 2017. Meantime, the 5th annual Tournament of Stars took to the basketball court in Toronto this weekend, all in support of West Park Healthcare Centre.
I've been coming here the last few years to help raise money, for the West Park Foundation to give back to, the people that need it. So anytime I can be a part of a great event like this, to always come back and then play a game I love, to raise money for people that really need it, I'm always down for it, man. I'm a people's person.
Former Raptor Jamario Moon, as you heard there, was one of many former NBA players taking part in the 2-day charity event. West Park is a rehabilitation center which helps people recover from life-altering illness or injuries. We're heading into a quick break. Sophia's back in 3 minutes with your full forecast and that surprise in the sky. A mission to map out the accessibility of major cities across Canada taking place this weekend, including in Ottawa and Toronto.
Map Mission Day is really about collecting all of the efforts across Canada and beyond on one specific day to go out, hit the streets in our own communities and map. We do that not just so that we can create better data on the Access Now app, but we also do that to help create awareness and education about why accessibility matters.
Similar events hosted by tech company Access Now took place in Calgary, Vancouver, Quebec City, and Montreal today. People used the company's app to rate the accessibility of places and spaces, according to the company's recent report, which mapped out nearly 14,000 street-level businesses in 3 of Canada's largest cities. 60% of them were found not fully accessible. Sophia is back now for a full look at the forecast. You've had us all in suspense.
Yes, I mentioned a treat in the skies. After the show, you're going to want to get out there, bundle up, and eyes to the sky. We're not talking about the eclipse. That'll be 2 weeks from now. We'll really be pumping that up. But this time, it's the northern lights. Yes, the aurora borealis, usually only visible from far northern communities in our country. But into the overnight period tonight, there's a very strong geomagnetic storm that will be washing over Earth. It'll interact in the upper levels of our atmosphere and charge light particles to create this colliding display of the dazzling lights. You'll be able to see it as far south as Windsor. A very, very low KP index means that anybody above this line should have a good glimpse of the auroras. That is, if you can get this cloud cover to clear early into the overnight period, you'll be able to see it into the GTA and into the nation's capital region, but really around the Georgian and the Huron shores, cloud cover is pretty constant into the overnight period. How strong is this geomagnetic storm? It's a G4 level. That is severe. That means, yes, brilliant light display. Hopefully you'll get a chance to see it. Clouds, though, into the overnight period. That's a trend that will continue into the first half of this work week. We talked a little earlier about this Colorado low, riding that ridge of high pressure. You're in the warm sector, anybody, Nickel Belt and south. Snow on the Superior Shores, maybe even a few rumbles of thunder in a few waves for those of you, especially into southwestern Ontario. Not a bad first half of the work week. This warm sector in these rounds of showers will do a number to up our temperatures. We're talking the double digits and then some. Seasonals around 7 or 8, but we'll be riding the 11s and 12s and 13s by the time we head into midweek. About 5 degrees above seasonal, really, for the second half of this work week, which takes us into Easter weekend. So far, I'm knocking on wood, it's looking like a beautiful sunny stretch of weather for the Easter Bunny to make his way around our province. Shannon?
Thanks, Sophia. Well, before you head outside to check out the sky, you're going to want to see this. We're going to leave you with Toronto rockers, The Beaches, 2-time Juno winners, performing their hit song Blame Brett at the Juno Awards tonight in Halifax. We'll see you next week.